It is April 7th. This is the Money Line Grind. We are getting back into our rhythm. We had a good night last night. We only have two games on the slate tonight. So I got two picks for you. That's a pretty good rate. 100% of the games, we have something for you. This is where you go to make money. We did it last night, and we look to continue the trend that we had in February and March. Let's go over what we did last night. We had SGA. This was our only loser, over 30 and a half points. I knew I should have took Luka. He finished with 26. Didn't play in the fourth quarter, I don't believe. And if he did, he didn't score in the fourth quarter. Lakers, no one saw the Lakers blowing out the Thunder, so that's how we lost, and that's okay because we had Van Vliet under 13.5 points. That was plus 100, so that was even money. And look how we spanked. I watched the video again. I say sometimes we spank the book. Even money. He had 3 points, shot 1 for 8 from the field, played 36 minutes, so he was out there. They won. He was out there fouling Steph Curry. And then my last play, which was my favorite play, the guy on the cover, Mark Williams. It was the first game of the day, so we started off in the profits, over 26 and a half points plus rebounds. He had 22 points, 9 rebounds, finished with 31 PR. Now let's jump into our two plays. We're going to start the day with the fade. Sabonis, under 18 and a half rebounds plus assists. Sounds crazy. Minus 120, averages 20 RA on the season, 18.4 in his last 9. He left one of those games early with 12 minutes played. So he obviously didn't have much RA there, but we counted that in the averages there. Detroit allows fourth fewest rebounds per game to opposing centers. Detroit defense alone, they allowed the fifth fewest opponent rebounds and sixth fewest opponent assists. Sacramento's on a back-to-back here. This is their sixth road trip in a row, sixth road game in a row, and they don't really have much to play for. Pistons have a lot more to play for. So I think the Kings might come out here, and if it doesn't start off well, they could pack it in. They should be satisfied with the 2 wins they got on this road trip, especially last night against the Cleveland Cavs, who are probably the best in the East. So nothing to really play for here. If it doesn't work out, if Levine is off early and Detroit really locks in as a defensive team they've shown this year, this one could get out of hand. You don't want Sabonis out there playing useless minutes down 20 in a season that's already over. Think of this also as like the last week of school. Do you think the Kings want to go out there and play defense knowing that summer break is around the corner? This could be a blowout, but I don't expect much effort from the Kings here. Why would they? I know they're prideful, but I think they might be already satisfied after the win against Cleveland. Six game on the road in a row, back to back. Got to have some fatigue there. And then my second pick, the guy on the cover, Kel'el Ware, over 9.5 rebounds, minus 114. He has 10 rebounds in 7 of his last 10. He averages 13.5 rebounds versus Philly in his last 2. He had 14 and 13 there. 10 rebounds in 12 of his last 17. When he plays at least 21 minutes, the Miami Heat are pretty banged up. I'm not sure, the center position is thin as it is, but the other guys that are banged up might lead to maybe a closer game than we need. Miami is top 12 in opponent field goal percentage and opponent three-point percentage. So we're going to see some misses here. They're known for their defense, and they recently played each other. I always tip my hat to the defensive side on the second game when they recently played each other, because you just have fresh video, you have fresh data to know what they're going to run, and the other team probably hasn't much time to implement new offenses or elements to already existing plays. Philadelphia is also the worst rebounding team in the league. They rank 30th. There's only 30 teams. And when we look at some centers and even power forwards, because Giannis is in there, but you could call him a center, they've rebounded the ball pretty well as of late versus versus the Sixers. Gobert had 19, Giannis with 20 rebounds, Mitch Robinson had 14 rebounds in 21 minutes, Olenek had 11 rebounds, and recently Kel'el Ware, like I said, had 14 rebounds. Those are my two picks. We got two picks on the board, so if we hit them both, that does count as a sweep, and that would be our first sweep of April. Let's keep in mind, this is very hard during this part of the season. The last week of the season, you really have to bet. The amount of teams you can bet on are very limited. Typically, you want to maybe fade the ones that aren't going to the playoffs, and maybe want to look at teams really fighting for position, especially home court. Then you're going to have to, in the second half of this week, you're going to have to look at rest possibilities and who's going to play towards rest. So who knows? Maybe we'll get a parlay in with a guy who's not supposed to be in the game much and he scores 20 points. And I throw a lotto in next week because that would be the time to do it. Those are my picks. We technically last night went 3-1 also. We hit the baseball lay. It's like plus 133, but one of those was a push. So, you know, we probably got zero point 0.8 of a unit, but we're like 6 and 2 there. I'll put the numbers together. Just haven't had time. Maybe tomorrow I'll have some time. Best of luck. Let's get that money.